Alright, I'm going to try to code this, at least the first part of coding. So I've gone ahead and done some things early. I've gotten all my variables here. So where did I get these from? These are all our input and the results of our calculations. And so that's these four down here and then these two right here. That would make up our blank places in memory. Anytime we have an accumulator or a counter, we have to initialize that with 0. So I have my load, my two accums, so my counter, my two accums all up here with 0 rather than being blank places in memory. Then I have my two values that never change, and I've also put my alert down here, done looping, to get us a little bit started. Alright, so if we take a look at our flow chart, what we're going to be doing is I've already done this part right here. Well, not this part. Then I'm going to do this part and then set up our loop. So I'm just going to go down here and put loop. And we're going to be using a while loop. So it'll be while and then open and close parentheses. And inside there is what test that we want to do. And of course we want to do this test right here. So Control C, Control V. And the only thing I have to add is the fact that in JavaScript we need two equal signs. If you leave off that equal sign, you've locked yourself in a loop. So make sure that you really pay attention to that. And then we have to have a start brace, start loop, and then an end brace, end loop. All right, so the other thing we have to do, this is how we're getting in. Now we have to have how we're getting out. So if I go ahead and copy this again, Control C, and paste it at the bottom of my loop, Control V, I'm going to say I have a place in memory called another load. I wish to assign to that place in memory. Let's return from my prompt when I ask this question. And now I have to ask the question. I could copy and paste it from my flowchart, but probably just as quick doing it here. Is there another load? Question mark. Yes or no. And then my default value is going to be yes, because it's going to be yes every time except for one time when it's going to be no. So I might as well put a default value of yes in there. So now we actually have enough to be able to start to see if this actually works. So the first thing I'm going to do is save it. And let's see, I will put it, where am I going to put it? I'm going to stick it in bin just for the heck of it. Make sure I shouldn't put it in bin because I'll never find it again. Bin is good. Okay, so this is acme rock.htm. So let's go ahead and save it. Alright, so now that we always have to save it first, so if things go to heck in a handbasket, we can shut down everything and then restart it up with the code that we left off with. So I'm going to preview it. It asks me if I want another one. If you remember, we tested it with a yes to make sure that we can stay in, and then a no to see if we can get out. And we see our done looping, so we know we're out. So that works perfect. So let's go ahead and do some more. Let me move this over a little bit. All right, so the next thing we want to do is put in our counter. So I can go into my flow chart, but it's easier to get it right here. So I'm going to do Control C. And then in here, I'm going to tab in a little bit, Control V. Okay, there's my counter. And how do I know my counter is working? I'm going to go ahead and add an alert, and that's going to be my first output. Very similar to what we did with the flow chart. So in here, I'm going to have number of loads, and again, I should copy and paste it from the flow chart if I wish. Colon, space, space, and then I'm going to join that with loads count. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that from here. Control C, Control V. And now I'm going to save it and test it again. So if I preview it, you can see we have one load. And then if I say yes, we have two loads. So I know it's working. So now I can say no. We should have a stop button, but they don't. All right, I'll go back to my editor. So now the next thing I'm going to do is test my accumulators. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this, Control C, Control V. Oh, that's not all. I also need my input. So before I can do that, let's go ahead and get our input. And these two, Control C, Control V. So I have an input for a number of tons, so I have a place of memory called number of tons, which to assign to that place of memory was return from my prompt when I ask this question. And that's going to be how many tons? Question mark. Okay, and then my default value, let's go ahead and stick 10 in there for our test. Okay, then I have my next input. I have a place of memory called load vendor, which to assign to that place of memory was returned from my prompt when I asked this question, and that's going to be acme or town. And then my default value, we'll just put one of these on that. So we'll just choose acme. Okay, so now our inputs are in. Now we can go ahead and format the decision, and that is load vendor with parentheses around it. Load vendor equals acme, and again we have to use equal if we want that to determine whether acme is in load vendor. Then we have a start brace, start acme, and then all I have to do is add a semicolon here, and then a stop brace, stop acme. And then for my else, let's see, you're going to move this over. I should move this over too. There we go. So I have my else, and then I have a start brace, start town, and then I do this. And then I have a close brace, stop, 10. So there was another thing we wanted to do because we wanted to have our prompts in there. So let's go back to our flow chart. Here's where I actually will go ahead and copy from my flow chart because it just makes it so much easier. Okay, so I need to output this, and that's going to be right here. So I'll do alert, open it, close parentheses, semicolon, and then just paste that in. Right, that's easy peasy. And I'm going to do the same thing now with my town. I'm going to do alert, open and close parentheses, semicolon, go back into my flow chart, get my output for that, Control C, and then paste it into the parentheses. So now that I've done that, I have another test point. So I want to test to see if my accumulators are working. So I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to preview it. I have 10 tons, and it's acme, and you can see, 010, so that's not working. And then if I do yes, and 10, and acme, you can see it's really not working. So it's joining, it's not adding. So the solution to all our problems is going to be parse1int. So I say no, and go back. So we're taking in this 10 for tons, but it's text. So when we use the plus symbol down here, it actually joins that, even though we have a binary 0 here. So I'm going to have to do a conversion, and that's going to be the same thing, num tons, Control C, Control V, except this is going to be a parse, capital I int, open and close parentheses, semicolon, and what we want to put in the parse1int is this number of tons. So Control C, Control V. So now this text 10 is sent to parse1int, turned into a binary 10, and stored in a number of tons, and now we shouldn't have that issue. So let's go ahead and save it and preview it. Now we have 10, acme, and you can see the zero's gone, so we know it's working better. And then we'll say yes, and then I'll do 5, and then acme, and you can see now it's 15, so it's accumulating. And then yes, and then 10, and then town, and now the town has 10, and then yes, and then 5, and then town, and we can see that that has 15 too. So we tested both accumulators, they're both working. And we say no. It's done looping is a bit repetitive. Alright, and then we move on. Whoa, it's already 10 minutes into this stupid video. Alright, I'm going to stop it here because there's no way that I'm going to finish this up in about 2 minutes, and I don't like going more than 12 minutes per video. So this is the end of part 1, and then we're going to do part 2 and finish it up, and then we'll do a part 3. So stay tuned for the next video.